fact that it's relatively new, there isn't wide-scale adoption of it. So where's adoption going with Silverlight, and where do we think it's going to be in the near future?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things that we've always focused on from the beginning of Silverlight is having a model where, because we knew that we were starting from 0% adoption, how do we have a model where if someone doesn't have Silverlight installed, it's really easy for them to get it installed and get it installed quickly and allow the content to drive the deployment, so to speak, in terms of getting the runtime out there. And so, Silverlight's always been a small download. With Silverlight 3 is actually the same size as Silverlight 2. Even though there's all those new features, it's still about a 4.6, 4.7 meg download, and it takes less than 8 seconds to install on a clean machine. So you don't need to have .NET installed. You don't need to have Windows installed. It'll work with IE. It'll work with Firefox. It'll work with Safari. It'll work in Chrome. It'll work in a variety of different browsers on both Windows and Mac. And then with our partner Novell, it'll also work on Linux. So it's easy to get installed. And what we found is, as more and more apps and sites have gone live, and the fact that it is easy to get it installed, we're basically driving up our deployment numbers steadily. We've now got hundreds of millions of machines in the world that have it installed. In fact, more than 1 in 3 of all computers in the world. And that includes both PCs, that includes Macs, that includes Linux, that includes mobile phones. 1 in 3 computers connected to the internet now in the world have Silverlight 2, our most recent version that we shipped 9 months ago, already installed. And so, and every month that goes by, our worldwide deployment numbers go up a couple more percentage points. And from our perspective, we feel pretty good. We felt pretty good with Silverlight 2. With Silverlight 3 and the expression tools are such a massive step forward in terms of capabilities. Given that where we are right now with deployment, we feel pretty good. It's more a question of when we get to 100% deployment as opposed to if. If we're able to get the first third of all the computers connected to the world to installed with Silverlight 2, we'll get another big update from Silverlight 3, and we'll continue to march along in terms of capabilities with Silverlight 4 and 5. So I feel pretty good in that regard. And from knowing, one of the things that is important for people to know is that if you build a Silverlight app, it's fairly easy to integrate it within an HTML site today. We have a simple JavaScript file that you can link to on your page, and if a machine doesn't have Silverlight already installed, the user will get a nice UI that you can customize for them to click a button to install it. Again, it takes about 8 seconds to download and install. The page will automatically refresh and your app runs. So it's fairly easy, even for someone that doesn't have it installed. And now that we're getting to a point where hundreds of millions of people do have it installed, hopefully that UI gets shown less and less.
I think it's a great testament to the power of the platform by the fact that it has grown so fast. It's on 1 in 3 computers in the world. In 2007, 2008, 2009, when people are averse to installing plugins on their browser, they don't want to do it, but so many people have done it, and I think that's just a great testament to the types of applications that have been built, and the actual just the sheer power of the platform.
I think if you look at most products, I think there might only be 1 or 2 other products in the world that have ever gone in 9 months from shipping to being on 1 in 3 computers in the world. It takes longer than that for Windows. It takes longer than that for Office. For typically even browsers. If you look at other ones out there, that is pretty fast.
I can't think of any.
Yeah, I can't think of any. I'm being careful to say just in case because something obvious comes later. But so from that perspective, I feel pretty good.
Sure.
And I think the other nice thing is as you look at Silverlight 3. As you look at the capabilities in the media space, the graphics space, and the app dev space, and then especially when you look at things like SketchFlow, which are really unique and that no one else out there is doing anything like, it's nice to actually have something that, I find it fun where I can do an hour-long talk on them and get lots of oohs and ahs in the audience. And this isn't kind of a research thing. This isn't a future out thing. This isn't a product that only runs on really high-end machines. You can do all these things on a netbook or on a low-end device, and they're shipping now, which is a really nice thing to be able to say. It's not far off in the future. You can download and start using them now, and that's fairly unique, and I think has a lot of people excited.
I sat in the audience of the keynote at Mix, and when we showed Sketchflow, and there was a group of Japanese designers sitting on my right-hand side, and when you showed Sketchflow for the first time, they all went, like that when they saw it. Like, that was just how, you know, excited they got about it. And
it's one of those things where, you know, when you see it afterwards, some of the things you kind of go, oh, that's obvious, you know, and then you realize, like, well, no one's ever done that before.
Yeah.
And you get that kind of interaction workflow, and it just, wow, it looks easy and it looks simple and obvious, and yet, God, you know, for 20 years we've been doing UI development with design tools and with development tools, and yet no one's ever done quite that approach before. And I think anytime you do a demo, anytime you play with the product, and, you know, after an hour it feels just completely natural and obvious, and you're getting the kind of productivity wins out of it, you know, you've got something special. And yeah, I'm really excited to be able to say, hey, that's now shipping. It's not a future, it's not a demo, it's not a way off in the distance. It's actually now available for use today.
So I don't know about you, but I could sit and talk about this stuff all day, but I'm sure our audience, they don't have all day to listen to us. So maybe let's wrap it up with thinking about what's the best way to get started. We've heard about all these great new things, and I mean, I'm somebody today, I'm not experienced with Visual Studio or Expression or anything like that. How do I get started? How do I get up and running? And how do I start playing with this stuff?
Well, you can get started today by going to a couple different websites that we have. One is to check out the Silverlight.net site. So if you go www.silverlight.net, there's great forums there, hundreds of posts a day, people asking questions and getting help. There's tutorials, there's online videos you can download, and then obviously there's both, you can install both Silverlight, the Visual Studio tools for Silverlight, as well as the Expression trials for Silverlight from that site as well. I'd also highly recommend checking out the Expression website on Microsoft.com. There's tons of great tutorials. People can post things like styles and behaviors and skins to share within the community, and the tool itself allows you to easily browse those and add them into your projects. And then you can go to the Silverlight, the Microsoft.com/Silverlight site, where you can also learn more. You can see a lot of great videos and demos that kind of show off some of the new capabilities there, and get started with it. As I mentioned, you know, the great thing is the runtime is completely free. The Visual Studio tools you can use with your 2008 editions of Visual Studio today, as well as the free Express editions of Visual Studio as well. And then there's a 60-day free trial of both Expression Blend as well as Sketchflow that you can download and start using immediately. And so, you know, if you download those things, start playing with the tutorials and the videos, keep an eye on the community, Silverlight.net site, and our various blogs. You know, I think you'll find you can actually get started pretty quickly and do some pretty powerful stuff.
Yep. And just to add one final thing to that would be July 10th for our launch. We're also going to be launching the website www.seethelight.com. So, thank you, Scott.
Cool. Thanks a bunch.
Thank you.